Manchester United 3, Nottingham Forest 0. The final game of 2022 at Old Trafford, the final Premier League game rather of 2022 at Old Trafford ends in victory for Manchester United. They make a Premier League return, get all 3 points, and are now really firmly on that push towards the top 4, aren't they? And to be honest, in terms of Manchester United this season, I think this is probably as routine as it gets. We're not used to this. We're not used to this season. What we have started to see though is a significant build-up. Manchester United starting to win more games at home, starting to turn Old Trafford once again into a fortress. And I understand, look, Nottingham Forest, newly promoted side, I understand that we can't get too carried away, and we're right to not get too carried away. Again, it is only Nottingham Forest, but at the same time, you can only play and you can only defeat who's in front of you. And who's in front of Manchester United this evening was Nottingham Forest. We scored 3 goals. We scored 3 very good goals, and to be honest, we could have had more. Anthony could have had a goal as well there. So I was really, really happy, and I think that it was really important this evening because of what happened yesterday with the Cody Gakpo situation and whether or not United were ever truly in for him, it just added this weird element of pressure that didn't need to be there of, if something bad happens this evening, the knives will truly be out, and not the Netflix movie. The knives will be out in terms of, here we go again, a bad transfer window and a bad moment for Manchester United. But in reality, what we saw is the difference between this time last season and now. What we saw is a squad that is united, not just in name, but actual in reality united. We saw a group of players that are playing well and playing for the manager. And what we also saw is the people that really stood out today, and we're going to talk about them individually. We saw people that this time last year, I spoke about this time last year, but this time last year, some of the players we're going to talk about, they were on their way out of the club. And somehow, some way, Erik ten Hag has been able to rejuvenate them and find something that I don't think many people saw within themselves. Let's talk about individuals here. First of all, not one of the players that was here even at this point last year, one being Casemiro. Casemiro, man of the match, and KG said in his fan view that Casemiro was the best Manchester United midfielder since Roy Keane, and maybe it's a bit too early to say that, but maybe it's not. Casemiro is atypical. He is atypical in every sense of the word because we have been conditioned as United fans, haven't we? Because of what's happened over the years of players that have had just absolutely glittering careers of winning trophies and winning titles elsewhere at clubs like Real Madrid or clubs abroad like Bayern Munich, these top clubs around Europe. And then when they decide to come to Manchester United at 28 or 29 or 30 or 31, there's a reason why. There's a reason why they decided to leave the club, and it's never a positive reason, or there's a reason why the club was so willing to let them go, and it's because they were past it, they were in the decline, or they knew something about their injury record that we didn't know, and it's never worked out. But someone that has worked out, even already, is Casemiro. The guy oozes class. He is a warrior, he is a fighter, but also he's a very technically gifted football player as well. And I think that anyone that doubted Casemiro, doubted his ability, or doubted his reasons, rationale, desire to come to Manchester United needs to hold their hands up. And I'll do it as well. I said, he's like 30, 31. Have they squeezed all the proverbial juice out of him? Is he coming to Manchester United for the right reasons? And we were told a million times, he's coming here because he wants to win. He's coming here because he wants a new challenge. He's coming here because he's done everything there is to do at Real Madrid. He's coming here because he sees these younger midfielders coming in and he doesn't want to be sitting on the bench because he wants to play, because he wants to contribute. And my, oh my, does he contribute. And again, I know it's the nearly bottom of the table team that's just come up from the Championship. I understand that. But still, the guy was everywhere. And I think it's a disservice, honestly, to call him just a defensive midfielder, because he's so much more than that. Yes, he wins the ball back. And yes, for 2 of the goals, he does slide tackles and then releases the ball, which positively contributes to the goal. But at the same time, again, he's more than just a ball winner. His passing range going forward, I think, is so underrated and so understated. And the guy is just a leader. He's a leader without the armband. And KG and myself were talking about this on the match view, that Now, actually, you look at this starting 11 and there are 4 or 5 people in there that you go, well, they're not the captain. They're not the person wearing the armband, but they're a massive leader. And there's a spine in that team. And this was a back four that was makeshift this evening. It had 3 fullbacks in the back four. Luke Shaw played centre-back. But you've got leaders. You've got De Gea. You've got Varane. You've got Casemiro and Eriksen that are leaders. You've then got Bruno Fernandes, who's wearing the armband. Then you've also got people like Marcus Rashford that are leaders on the pitch. And that's so positive for Manchester United. Now, spoke about Casemiro. I've got to talk about Rashford. The turnaround. I think he was really unfortunate not to play more minutes at the World Cup. He had that performance against Wales in which he was fantastic. And as I said, I thought it was unfortunate not to play more minutes. And he was in really good form going into the World Cup. That's why he got picked in Gareth Southgate's squad. He's come back. He was excellent against Burnley. And people said, yeah, but it's just Burnley. They're just top of the Championship. And I know they'll say this evening, yeah, but it's just Nottingham Forest and they're bottom of the table. Well, the goal he scores is a difficult goal. It's a great training ground work goal. It's a good ball by Eriksen. It's a good distracting run by Raphael Varane. But at the same time, Marcus Rashford still has to hit that first time and guide it into the net off a slick surface. And he does just that. And again, he was at it this evening. He was direct. He was pacey. He was giving defenders problems, and that's what you want to see from Marcus Rashford. And most importantly, he's smiling the whole time he's doing it because he knows that he's in a good vein of form at the moment, and that has to be in the same vein as Anthony Martial. That has to go back to the manager. Erik ten Hag is cultivating this positive mentality, this winning mentality, this desire to play with smiles on their faces. Once again, that wasn't there 12 months ago. I spoke about Anthony Martial just then. Didn't play 90 minutes. And, I think Erik ten Hag is firmly wrapping him up in cotton wool because of the fact that we're really light up front, even more so that Ronaldo's left. But the reason why is I guess they're still trying to manage his rehabilitation and manage his minutes. But once again, Anthony Martial plays a match for Manchester United and he either gets a goal or an assist. This time it's a goal. It's not the best goal from his point of view. It's not the best shot. Hennessy should do a lot better. But the build-up to it is fantastic. Again, the tackle from who? Casemiro. The pass from Bruno Fernandes. It won't go down as a Bruno assist, but it's a sensational pass. The work by Rashford to get the assist and the finish by Martial. It's a great goal. There's this stigma around counter-attacking football or counter-attack FC. That's a brilliant goal. That's a well-worked goal and it's a nice goal to watch. And again, these players are playing with smiles on their faces and it starts from Casemiro's work. Bruno was really unfortunate not to get a registered assist this evening. Could have had a couple. Anthony should have scored from a Bruno pass, but he was fantastic. But Anthony Martial, this time last year, he wanted out. He ended up getting out. He went to Sevilla. It didn't work out for him there. People weren't sure what his future looked like. If anything, there was almost a hope, I guess, from some United fans that it would work out at Sevilla and he would go on a permanent transfer. Fast forward 12 months, yes, he's not had the best season in terms of fitness, but when he plays on his day, God, he contributes. He really does. And, I think that the biggest positive we have is we can talk about Casemiro, we can talk about Rashford, we can talk about Martial, but it's the manager, it's the coach, it's Erik ten Hag. And more and more you see performances like this where you just say, if you give the guy the tools, he can build. And he is building, despite having what in retrospect I think is going to be a real important but challenging first sort of 6 months at United. He's had to deal with the fallout of the Ronaldo situation, of one of the biggest global icons and greatest players of all time coming to an end of his career, but also his Manchester United career as well, having to manage that. He's had to deal with the situation when it comes to the club, in terms of the club being sold and the owners looking to sell. He's had to deal with a real bad start in his first 2 games, and I think lesser managers would have crumbled. But here we are 6 months later, getting another positive victory at home. If we win our games in hand, we'll be in the top 4. If we win our games in hand, we'll be a point off the team currently in second place, that being Newcastle United. I know City have lots of games in hand as well, but the point is that Manchester United are in a real positive space at the moment. And yes, you can't get too carried away, but at the same time, there's room for optimism around Manchester United, and there's reason to be optimistic because we've got a manager in Erik ten Hag that's cultivating positive performances from players that, again, we weren't sure they had it in them. So there you go. Manchester United 3, Nottingham Forest 0. On to the next one.